August 24th, 1572, the church bells of Paris rang at dawn, and by nightfall, thousands lay dead in the streets. The bodies started piling up before most of Paris woke. I've read the eyewitness accounts, merchants' ledgers, letters smuggled out of the city, and the detail that haunts you isn't the numbers. It's the precision. Families dragged from their homes, neighbors turning on neighbors, and at the center of it all, one woman's calculated revenge disguised as religious duty. Her name was Catherine de Medici, and before August 24th made her infamous, she was something far more dangerous, a woman with nothing left to lose. Born in Florence to the most ruthless banking family in Europe, Catherine arrived in France as a teenage bride in 1533. She was meant to be decoration. Instead, she became the architect of a dynasty's survival. For decades, Catherine waited. Her husband, King Henry Roman II, had a mistress, Diane de Poitiers, who wielded more influence than the queen herself. Catherine bore the humiliation. She had 10 children. She studied politics, poison, and the art of patience. And when Henry died in a jousting accident in 1559, she finally had her opening. She moved fast. Her sons became kings, first Francis Roman II, then Charles Roman IX. But Catherine held the real power. She became regent, then counselor, then the invisible hand guiding French policy for 30 years. She maneuvered, compromised, and played the Huguenots, French Protestants, against the Catholic nobility with the precision of a chess master. But by the early 1570s, her control was slipping. The Huguenots had grown too powerful. Her son, King Charles Roman IX, was weak-willed and increasingly resentful of her grip. And then came the marriage that changed everything. Her daughter Marguerite married Henry of Navarre, a Huguenot prince. It was meant to heal the religious divide. Catherine saw it as a trap closing around her. On August 18, 1572, the wedding took place in Notre Dame. Huguenot nobles flooded into Paris for the celebration. Catherine watched them arrive. And then, 4 days later, she made her move. A Huguenot leader named Gaspard de Coligny was shot and wounded by an assassin. Everyone knew Catherine had ordered it, but the hit failed to kill him. The Huguenots demanded justice. They threatened to leave Paris and mobilize their armies. Catherine was cornered. She could either back down, losing face and power, or escalate. She chose escalation. That night she met with her son, King Charles, and the Duke of Guise, the most powerful Catholic noble in France. What exactly she said, we don't know, but the order came down: eliminate the Huguenot threat permanently. On August 23rd, the Catholic militia began moving through the streets. They had lists, names of Huguenot leaders staying in the city. They had orders to kill them quietly, surgically. But once violence starts, it doesn't stop. It spreads. It consumes. The church bells rang at dawn on August 24th. That was the signal. The massacre began in earnest. The militia went door to door through the Marais, the neighborhood where most Huguenots lodged. They weren't looking for soldiers or leaders anymore. They were killing anyone who confessed the Protestant faith. Children, women, the elderly. By midday, the violence had spread beyond the militia's control. Ordinary Parisians joined in. Servants murdered their employers. Debtors settled scores. The Huguenots tried to barricade themselves in houses, but the doors didn't hold. The streets ran with blood. Bodies were dumped in the Seine. By some estimates, 3,000 died in Paris alone. Other cities followed. Lyon, Rouen, Toulouse. The killing didn't stop for weeks. Catherine watched from the palace. She told people it had all gotten out of hand, that the king had ordered it without consulting her. She was lying. Or maybe she was telling a version of the truth that let her sleep at night. I've seen that before, people who cross a line so profound they have to rebuild their entire understanding of themselves to survive it. The official death toll was around 3,000. Historians argue it could have been 10,000 or more. What's certain is this: the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre didn't heal France's religious wounds. It shattered any hope of reconciliation. The Huguenots went underground. They armed themselves, and the wars of religion that followed would tear France apart for another 2 decades. As for Catherine, she lived another 16 years. She died in 1589, her power finally spent, but her legacy was sealed. Across Europe, Catholics celebrated the massacre as divine justice. Protestants saw it as proof of Catholic savagery. Catherine's name became synonymous with ruthlessness, with the idea that a woman in power would stop at nothing to keep it. The truth is more complicated. Catherine didn't invent religious violence in France. It was already there, simmering. She didn't order a massacre in cold blood. She ordered an assassination that spiraled beyond her control. But she also didn't stop it. She didn't even try. And that's the part that matters. She was a woman who believed that power required sacrifice, other people's sacrifice. She gambled that one night of terror would secure her dynasty's future. Instead, it ignited a conflagration that consumed France for decades. Sometimes the most dangerous people in history aren't the ones who want chaos. They're the ones who think they can control it. Catherine de Medici died believing she protected her family. She bought them time. But the cost, measured in blood, in broken faith, in a nation fractured, was something no dynasty could ever repay. Her revenge had consumed the very thing she'd fought so hard to save. Subscribe. Each week, we uncover the royal conspiracies and palace betrayals that rewrote history.